Hello everyone, I'm Sylvia from Fairlight Tarot. Welcome to my channel. So I'm having a bit of a nasty start of this Mercury retrograde season, and I've heard a few of my friends saying exactly the same. And so I thought today to do a VR, which is good mood decks to the waves of your soul, to just try and cheer myself up. So let's see how it goes. So we're going to start with the Ember and Aura Tarot by Jamie Richardson. This is the Awakening edition. I'm sorry, but I think it's, well, I'm pretty sure it's out of print, but you may still be able to find it somewhere, especially if you're part of one of the many Facebook groups. So this deck has been trimmed and re-edged, and the reason why I did that was because I could not manage the cards. They were just slightly too big, and I really wanted to use this deck. I've been called by this deck to just you know, be my good mood deck, and I thought, okay, well, if I want to use it as much as I feel like, then I have to make it such that I know that I can use it. And this deck has a bit of a nice story. So I really wanted this deck. I messaged the creator. She was on holiday, and I don't know, at the end, I just couldn't wait. And she was in a long hiatus. I think she was going to get back a couple of months afterwards, but you know, I mean, when you really want a deck, and I guess I'm not the only one, you really don't have that kind of patience. So I reached out in one of the Facebook groups I'm part, and I found someone that from New Jersey, I think it was, and they were okay to, you know, sell it to me and send it to Australia. And it took something like 3 months. It makes me laugh. And it was absolutely no fault of the seller. It was just, you know, a combination of USPS and Australian Post just being the way they are. And I remember thinking that if I had waited for Jamie to be back from her holiday, you know, I would have probably been able to get the deck from her. But you know, when you want something and you know, you really want it and you feel like you really have to do something to get it. So this is definitely a good mood deck for me, because at the end it was a good story, and also because I really enjoy the artwork and the color palette. And it's not just a good mood deck, it's also a hug deck, so you know, it's even better. So this is the Ember and Aura Tarot by Jamie Richardson. This is the Awakening edition. This deck, the Tarot of the Magical Forest, is hilarious, and it's also super cute. And it's published by Los Carabeo. It's a mass market deck. It's pretty common. I've seen a lot of people with this deck. I've done something that everyone seemed to be doing to this deck, and that is trimming off the borders. It's one of the old style Los Carabeo decks where you had all the 4 languages on the corners. It is so RWS that, you guys, it's just the easiest thing to read without any need for titles on the cards, and it is so stinking cute. It's just, I mean, look at these animals. They're just so adorable. You know, you've got the cats, you got this is the chariot, and look at the eyes. It looks like every animal here has got really big bulging eyes, apart from the strength here, which is the cutest thing ever. There's foxes in there, there's rabbits in there, there's frogs in there. Look, this is a frog riding a bigger frog. So I don't know, it's it just makes me laugh. It's this is the Fool card. It is just one of those decks that I reach for when I need a chuckle. And this is, by the way, I should have explained that at the beginning of the video, but this is indeed what this VR is about. So the good mood decks are the decks you definitely reach out when you're feeling a bit blue and you want to smile. And this deck is a hug deck. It's a good mood deck. Is a deck that definitely will cheer you up when you use it. So this is the Tarot of the Magical Forest. I have shown this deck a couple of times before in my channel, but this is definitely one of the top 3 good mood decks for me. So it's got this place here as well in this VR. It's the Stranger Things tarot deck. It's based on a TV show. So spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the show, you want to watch it. There's a few scenes from various seasons of the show, so you might want to skip ahead. These are the backs. The reason why this deck is here and in many other videos on my channel is because I absolutely am a huge fan of the show. I binge watch it when I'm down. I just put it in the background and I do my things. I'm starting to know the lines, at least to the first season, which is one of my favorite ones. The soundtrack in this show is amazing. The style of, you know, the mid-80s, it's just, I'm slightly younger than these kids, in the sense that, you know, the roles they're playing, the characters they're playing in the show. But many of the references that they have in these shows are very much, you know, striking a chord with me, because I definitely do remember some of the things they talk about. And, you know, it's just, it feels like home for me. It feels like it's the kind of deck I reach out for whenever I'm in need of a bit of a pick-me-up. So it is definitely one of my good mood decks. So this is the Stranger Things deck. This is another bit of an obvious choice because I've seen this deck featured in many videos with this hashtag, and why not? I mean, it's hilarious, it's funny, it's irreverent, you know, it talks about this kind of universe where zombies have taken over, but, you know, the rest of humanity just goes on, and there's some kind of a live and let, well, die in this case, and it's just hilarious. And the way the authors interpret the cards is, it shows a lot of knowledge of the RWS system, because it is a very easy deck to read, but it's also transposed in this kind of, you know, post-apocalyptic kind of world, and all the characters are just so funny. I mean, look at this toddler. He's obviously a zombie toddler, and he's just chewing on a bone because, you know, why not? I mean, that's what they eat, so fair enough. And you just look at these cards and look at this one. It's the 4 of Cups, right? And it's just a zombie girlfriend, I guess, with the zombie, with the human boyfriend, and, you know, they coexist in the same universe, and they just live together. And, you know, they get bored together, which is more or less the meaning of the card, or, you know, the Page of Cups. And it's just adorable because it's obviously, it's a kid, you know, he's playing on the beach and he's got a brain in his bucket. So you just look at these cards in the deck, and you just you think it's a straight shooter. Don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily a hard deck in the sense that it tells you things like they are, because obviously, you know, it is referred back to a world where, well, obviously there's been a catastrophe and everything, but at the same time it also tells you not to take yourself too seriously. And I think that what the meaning of the good mood deck is, you know, to re-establish good mood when you're not in a good mood, you have to get rid of that sense of impending doom that we might get sometimes, and this deck is really good for that. So this is the Zombie Tarot. The next deck I want to show you today is the Stella's Tarot, and it's by Stella Oracle. This deck is really beautiful. It's and this one also has a really cool story. So I bought it from a distributor in Japan, but they wanted, I don't know, for some reason, even though I live in Australia, which is not that far from Japan, they wanted, or you know, they were charged an incredible amount for shipping. And I noticed that it was a lot cheaper to ship it to the UK, and I was going to the UK. I was planning to go to the UK in the next couple of weeks after I bought it. So I just said, well, why don't you send it to the UK? You know, it's it was literally saving me like $20 or something. And ironically, because I stayed in the UK for a month, I actually got the deck delivered on time in the UK for $20 less, and I got it before I would have if I had stayed in Australia. And this deck is a good mood deck because of these little faces. You see these protagonists in the characters in these cards. They're like, they live in their own world, and they're all very proud. It looks like they're all these characters are very proud to be there. They're focused on their lives. It's kind of funny because the proportions are kind of wrong. Like you see, they're either very tall or, you know, their heads are very small. So every time I use this deck, by the way, I have trimmed it as well because it comes with huge borders. I prefer this way. It's become rather not a mini deck, I would say, but it is smaller and it's easier to shuffle for me. The colors are just amazing, as you can tell. It's really beautiful. It's a very beautiful deck. It's not just a good mood deck. It's also a very, very beautiful artwork. So this is the Stella's Tarot by Stella Oracle. This deck is here probably because of the same reason of the zombie tarot, and it's the Shadowland Tarot by Monica Budirsky. I just adore the artwork in this deck. It is the kind of spooky that actually makes you laugh. You know, the expressions on these characters in the cards. The Seeker, this is the Fool, the Seeker, and it's a headless person, right? I mean, the head is right here. And there's a cat, he's holding a cat, they're holding a cat, and the cat is saying, just go, go. I mean, there's that direction, you have to go that way. I just really, really like how funny the characters look, how whimsical. Look at the strength, it's just, it looks like it's one person with two heads. Everything is interpreted in such a way and depicted and created in such a way that it makes you smile. You know, it's a really good reader as well, and it is the kind of cardstock that I really like. It's the matte cardboard kind of stock, which I enjoy shuffling. And it's just really, look at the Three of Cups. I mean, it's impossible you know, to look at this deck and not laugh, or at least smile. And that's the whole purpose of a good mood deck. So I'm really grateful to this deck because it makes me feel like, you know, things are not so serious. And look at that, Three of Pentacles. It's gonna get better, hopefully. So this is the Shadowland Tarot by Monica Budirsky. This deck is also an all-time favorite of mine. It's been featured in a couple of videos already, and it's the deck that I mixed up myself between the Badass Tarot 1 and the Badass Tarot 2. I chose the cards that I like best between those two decks, and this, because of that, it feels like it's even more mine. And it is a good mood deck because it's just so irreverent. It does not care about good manners. It's the kind of deck that doesn't take any kind of BS. And, you know, it makes you, it really, I feel like I'm in a good mood just looking at it. It's just the kind of deck that makes you smile, makes you laugh, but also in a kind of, you know, giggling kind of way, because it's just really outrageous and I just love it for it. There's a lot of cursing. I'm sorry, should I say something? There's a lot of curses in this deck, which is liberating, isn't it? Sometimes we just need it to feel better. And I just really like every single take on this deck. All the cards are just incredibly funny. So this is a combination between the Badass Tarot 1 and the Badass Tarot 2 by Harley Spencer. The next deck is the Desert Illuminations Tarot, and this is the first edition. I know that Lindsay D. Williams, who's the artist, has just released, I think that it's already out of sold out, a second edition with a few differences. I think one of them is that there's no borders. I wasn't quick enough to purchase a copy of the second edition, but I'm really happy that I have the first edition. I mean, this deck is just so hilarious. It's absolutely funny. It's based on the southern state of the US, in specific New Mexico, and it is just amazing because if you've been to New Mexico, or if you are from New Mexico, you will know that there is a place which is called Roswell, where, you know, they have every year they have a festival. I think it's on the first week of July, and it's the Alien Festival. And so my husband is a massive fan of everything aliens, right? So we actually went to this festival once, and we just loved it. Everyone was dressed as an alien, and it's pretty much, you have a Donald with the shape of an alien spaceship. You have even a soccer team with aliens on their shirt. It's just really so much fun in a good way. It's just really really hilarious, and I love the fact that the author has recreated that kind of atmosphere in the cards. I mean, look at this 10 of Pentacles. Isn't it amazing? But it's not just that. So I also bought the book, the guidebook that goes with it, and it's not just aliens. Of course, aliens is the part that makes this deck for me a good mood deck. There's a lot of references to the culture. There's Jojo O'Keefe as well, for example. You know, Chile, for example, because it's the local cuisine is very spicy and really delicious. It is the kind of deck that is very respectful of the culture it is based on, which is always appreciated, because if you are part of this culture, if this culture is your culture, you will appreciate the respect used in making this deck. If you don't know this culture, if you're not part of this culture, I mean, look at this, the King and the Queen of Cactus. Isn't it amazing? You will appreciate how you get in touch with it, and you will get to know a few things. The guidebook is amazing for this because it goes into detail into the choice behind all these cards. It is, there's the Virgen de Guadalupe, for example. There's a lot of Mexican culture that is very visible in the cards as well. The colors are just so vibrant, so happy. This deck just makes me happy. There's no two ways around that. Look at that. The alien juggling the pentacles. It is definitely part of this VR. I'm very happy and I'm very grateful that I have gotten a hold of this deck. It is the Desert Illuminations Tarot by Lindsay D. Williams. This deck is also an all-time favorite when it comes to good mood decks, and it's the Dark Mansion Tarot, and it's by Tarotech Studio. This deck is so much fun. Most of the time I see it used in you know, in October, closer to Samhain, because it does have that kind of feel. The creatures are really whimsical. They remind me a lot of you know, Tim Burton's kind of characters, even though Tim Burton's is not involved in the creation of this deck. But look at this hermit. So it's the kind of creepiness that is also a lot of fun, and in some cases it's not just funny, but it's actually really beautiful. And this star card is one of my favorite star cards in the whole of my collection. The attention to details is amazing. You could stay on a card for, you know, minutes and minutes talking about the details and what you see in it. It's definitely RWS based. It's just really beautiful. Sometimes you'll notice that some of my decks are back in order, some of others are not. It doesn't mean that I don't use the ones that are back in order. As a matter of fact, it might mean that I use them even more, because I really like sometimes to just put a deck that I used, put it back in order, because it's one additional way for me to have a look at the deck itself. And it doesn't really mean anything. But for me, it's just another way of bonding with that specific deck. So this is definitely a good mood deck for me. And this is the Dark Mansion Tarot by Tarotech Studio. So as always, instead of only 10 decks, I'm showing you 11. And this one really needed to be in this VR. It's Diamante Oracle, and the reason why it's here is because I was talking about this deck with a friend of mine on Instagram today, and we were talking about the Mother Nirvana Oracle, which is also by Jennifer Sudini. And she was saying, oh, I really looked at the Mother Nirvana, and she didn't know whether she should buy the Diamante as well. And you know, and I took that seriously, because I whenever I get in touch with someone on Instagram or on YouTube, I always make it my duty to answer whatever questions, because I do recognize, and I'm very grateful for all the times in which I was the one asking others for, you know, maybe details about a deck, or can I find it, where can I find it, how can I use it, how best can I appreciate the deck. And I find that the tarot community is very open, it's very safe, and it's very kind. And so I really want to do my best to do the same with anyone that reaches out. And so I had a look at this deck, and I really considered the two, you know, the Mother Nirvana versus this one, and I finally concluded that they're actually two different decks, at least for me. And the reason why is because the messages in the Mother Nirvana are more like keywords. Instead, the Diamante has actual full sentences, and each and every card starts with an I. So it's an affirmation for yourself. The way I use it, I actually use it as a bit of a pick-me-up kind of deck. It makes me feel better whenever I read with it. It's a hug deck. It's also a good mood deck because of the artwork, which is very, you know, it's minimalist, but it's exceptionally well done, and it just makes me feel better whenever I look at it. So the messages are very touching. I honor animals with reverence. I relate in peace. I remain in balance with my emotions. If I am kind. Every single one of these, depending on my emotional state when I use this deck, which sometimes, you know, it may come to me when I'm a bit sad, for example. And it just makes me feel better. And I'm always grateful. I'm grateful that to a deck when it makes me feel like it's okay. Whatever emotion, whatever state I'm going through, and if a deck is making me feel better, then, you know, it does have a place in my heart, in my soul. I spread joy. So this is the Diamante Oracle by Jennifer Sudini, and this was the last deck for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please consider subscribing to my channel. More to come. Have a great day.